What's up, everybody? Shannon here. So, it's been a year since I've read Court of Thorns and Roses, and I've come to you today to finally tell you that I have just finished A Court of Mist and Fury, and oh my god, I'm still crying. Okay, so the whole reason I waited so long to read this is because, as most of you know if you've read A Court of Thorns and Roses, it's pretty romance heavy. That was the first Sarah J. Maas book I've ever read, and yes, it was extremely well written. I loved it to pieces. I was like, oh my god, this is the best book ever. But I know how romances work. I know how romance trilogies normally work. I figured that in the second book, you know, like, the main character was gonna get whiny, like, there was gonna be, like, a new love triangle get introduced, and I just, like, I wasn't wanting to deal with all of that, so I just set it aside. I'm like, you know what, I'll get to it when I get to it. But then I read Sarah J. Maas's entire Throne of Glass series, and I absolutely loved it, and I realized, I'm like, why am I so afraid that she's going to, like, have a book with sequelitis? Like, it's impossible. Like, she could never have a book with sequelitis because Sarah J. Maas is, like, the best writer, like, ever. Like, I'm just gonna say, I'm line drawn in the sand. Sarah J. Maas is, like, amazing. She is a goddess. All of her books are written so perfectly. Like, I don't know what I was afraid of. But also immersing myself in the fandom and seeing, like, all of the praise for A Court of Mist and Fury, like, really got me excited about reading it again. And I will admit, I was spoiled on some things. I did know the direction that this book was going to go in. I knew that it was going to be vastly different from A Court of Thorns and Roses. I knew that, like, the characters were going to move in different directions than, like, you would anticipate. So, again, like, that got me excited. And, oh my god, from start to finish, like, okay, just fair warning if you haven't been able to tell, like, this is not going to be a regular review. This is going to be me fangirling. So, from start to finish, like, this book, like, I can't even right now. Like, from the very beginning, like, when we see Feyre, she's, like, completely broken from what happened in, like, the first book, and she's living in this house with Tamlin the Tool, who, like, doesn't even care, and then there's, like, an aunt who just is, like, going through all this stuff, and, like, I don't want red in my wedding, but, oh, bitch, here's some red rose petals, and she totally flips out, and then here comes Rhysand to save the day, and I just, like, oh my god, the Night Court was beautiful, and Mor and Asriel, please, have babies and get together, and Amren, I'm pretty sure you are my spirit animal, just, like, I can't even, like, this entire book, and, like, we went through so much, so there was, like, 500 pages without Tamlin, and it was absolutely glorious, and then we get to the end, and it was just like, what's happening, and then, like, my heart was, like, ripped in two, and then just, like, Rhysand is just, like, over there, and I'm just like, girl, and it's just, like, and then they're being dumped in cauldrons, and, like, we meet the King of Fireburn, and, like, when we leave off, it's just like, bitch, I'm gonna infiltrate your court, I'm gonna be the best Night Court High Lady of them all, and I'm just like, what are we doing? And I'm just like, yeah, that is a recap of, like, my week of reading this book, but I am so excited for A Court of Rings and Ruin. Like, oh my god, I guess in hindsight, maybe it's a good thing that I waited so long to fangirl about this book, because I only have to wait a month for the next book to come out, while everybody else had to wait a year. So, good on me. Not really. I really wish I'd read this book sooner, because I'm pretty sure out of everything that I've ever read, hands down, Court of Mist and Fury just might be my favorite book of all time. Like, I feel like I could read this book over and over and over again. Like, you could read this one by itself, like, without anything else, and it's just absolutely amazing. Like, obviously, Sarah J. Maas, like, the world building, the characters, everything, it's so great. My favorite thing about it is the feminism. That's something that is missing in a lot of YA books, because while they are told from the female perspective, a lot of times they still fall into that whole thing where, like, the main character needs, like, a male character to come around and, like, tell her that she's beautiful and, like, make her, like, find herself or whatever. But no, while Rhysand does, like, push Feyre in the right direction, like, she had this inside of her, and we really see the difference between, like, a romanticized abusive relationship in a real, like, relationship that is actually good, and that is something that is so amazing, because in A Court of Thorns and Roses, you see this, like, really romantic relationship, and you totally fall in love with it, but then in A Court of Mist and Fury, oh my god, it's like, haha, you thought that was a cool relationship? Look how abusive it was. Like, look at her. She's got anxiety. Like, look at what happened. But then compare it to this one. It's so vastly different. And I just, like, I love seeing that. I wish we could see that in more books these days, because it's just, like, oh my god, my mind is completely blown. Like, I just, like, yeah, Obviously, this book gets an A+. It would have, even if I didn't like this book, it still would have gotten an A+ because the writing, like I have said, is just absolutely entirely gorgeous, and I cannot recommend this book series enough. But anyway, guys, I know that was like a just firestorm of just Shannon with all of the feels, but seriously, like this book series is absolutely amazing, and I am just like absolutely floored. Like literally, ever since I finished it, because I finished it a couple days ago, every time I come home, I'm like, oh yay, I'm gonna like read my book for a while, and I'm like, oh, but I finished my book, and I'm just like reading other stuff, but it's just like, you know, it's just, it's my child. Like I just, you know, I already want to read it like over and over again because it's just that, so it's just that amazing. And plus, here's the funny thing, it doesn't really fit on my shelf. I have to kind of like force it. It's a little tall. It's a little tall to go in there, but I love it regardless, so I'm going to love it forever. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit that like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe so you can talk books with me every Monday. That's everything I got for you today, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye!